Hey, what up, y'all? Welcome to another video. I wanted to do a video on this particular topic because every once in a while you guys ask me a question and I give you solutions, I give you answers to these questions, I give y'all the game. However, you know, it would be nice going forward if I gave you guys my personal experiences with this so that you or anybody in the future, really, if you happen to, you know, come across this video, you can get some help and, you know, you can pass this along. Anyway, let's get to it. I was asked via inbox on Facebook, how do you deal with women in the office who don't do their fair share of work, and when you call them out, they cry. They cry crocodile tears and they lash out threats. You know, this video is basically about how to deal with women in the workforce. And if you are new to my channel, what I'd like for you to do is hit that thumbs up button so you can get that notification whenever I drop a new video, and subscribe. Let's get to it. So, the short answer to this, and it's really going to take me less than 3 minutes to actually cover the short answer, or less than 2 minutes really. What you want to do is document it. That's the short answer. That's it. You want to get you a pen and paper or an app on your phone, a notepad app on your phone, and you want to document certain things. You want to document all the things that you say that she's doing unprofessionally, and then when you get a chance, type it up. You know, either at home or at work or whatever. Whenever you get a chance to, I would probably do it at home so it's not, you know, at work. I would probably type up bits and pieces of it via the notification app. Or you could also use Google Google Docs. If you have a Gmail account, you can go to Google Docs or whatever. It should be in the it should be on your phone. It should be one on your phone. You could also go to your Chrome extension and download, you know, an extension to Google Docs. Type it up. Have it synced to you. It should be synced across your account, and you can, you know, type it up on your phone, and then, you know, every day you update it, or every time you get a moment to update it. You know, once you have enough evidence, then you print out the document and you send it to your boss. Why do we document it? Because it's really, really hard for people to argue with exact dates and times. Hell, think about times that when you've worked or whatever cases and somebody has gotten written up. The supervisor that's writing them up usually has to present the exact dates and times, and it's really hard for you to argue those points if you've been somebody who's been written up. So that's what you want to do. You want to, you know, document all of everything that you said that happened, and evidence as possible, and then let your boss mirror it. And, you know, it should put a stop to it. In the event that your boss decides that, you know, she is more valuable than you, then you need to be planning an exit strategy. You don't need that job. You don't need a job that's going to continue having unprofessional people work for them. Now, here's the part where I want to add my personal experience to the mix so that you guys get an idea of how I use this to my advantage. I used to deliver pizzas many moons ago. I used to deliver pizzas, and so even in a piece of crap, you know, hole in the wall, or, you know, it wasn't a piece of crap hole in the wall. It was a mom and pop's pizza joint. It wasn't a pizza joint like a franchise pizza joint. Although I have worked at a franchise pizza joint before, I wasn't there long enough to actually sustain these type of issues. What ended up happening is I left because they were asking too much for minimum wage, and when I ended up working for a mom and pop pizza store, they did pay less, and they didn't even really pay you for the mileage. They only paid you for how many pizzas you delivered. Like, you know, they paid you for every delivery that you completed, and they paid you by the hour. But it didn't reimburse you on the gas like, you know, a mom and pop, like a franchise pizza joint might do. And they didn't provide you any type of benefits. You pretty much, you know, if your car broke down, you were on your own. There was no, at the particular pizza joint I worked at, there was no, you know, you got to work on other things in the back. that's probably the benefits of it, or the pros and cons, or whatever. In a mom and pop pizza joint, you know, sometimes they don't allow you to go to the back. You just deliver the foods and that's it, and they pay you. With a franchise pizza joint, while you're waiting for your order to come up so you can do the deliveries, they might have you like making the pizzas. They might have you in the back washing dishes, stacking boxes, you know, putting out more boxes or bringing more boxes out. They might have you go to the freezer and bring more crap out. It's stuff like that might happen because they have a little bit more space. At least I think they do. I think they have a little bit more space in the back. You might have to take out the trash. You might have to do other little rinky-dink crap to satisfy your boss or justify why you're there when you're not completing deliveries. So, to the point, I used to deliver pizzas at this mom and pop pizza joint. For my reasons was I was saving up the money to do something with. You know, I had a reason, I had a purpose, and I was there for probably like a month and a half, and there were, I don't know what you called them. They were probably, I'm gonna just say clerks. These are people who took your orders. When you call up a restaurant or whatever and they have takeout, or whether or not you have it delivered or not, the people that take your order, I don't know what they're called. You know, I didn't ask them, but they were basically cashiers or clerk or whatever the case is. They handle the processing payments. They handle, you know, your address, which address you were having your food delivered from, and they basically pretty much put the receipts. Once you paid for it or you were coming up to pay for it, they put your receipts on some sort of thing, and then the people who made the food in the back came up, checked it out, the next order, and then they made it. So at one point, you know, I worked at one pizza joint. I actually put out multiple applications for pizza joint, but I ended up working for a franchise pizza joint. And then when I wasn't happy, a short while later, the mom and pop pizza joint called me up because they were having an issue with a driver. Now, what I did was, while I was working there, I did the best I could. When it comes to like employment or whatever cases, I do the best I can as an employer. And because I remember when I was younger, I used to mess around a lot when it came to my job. So I've actually been let go before, but I've matured differently when it comes to things like employment, because, you know, I need the money or I want the money, you know, or I have a goal in mind. So I try to make sure that the employer is happy with me. That way, you know, there's no excuse for why they can't give me a raise. You know, I'm the best employee there, or, you know, if they don't have any issues with me, you know, there's no excuse for why they can't give me a raise. There's no excuse for why they can't give me a promotion or whatever the case is. And if they don't, then it's about time for me to leave because, you know, they don't value me as a good employee. So moving forward, when I worked there, there were multiple clerks there, and the one that called me in was nice. She's a sweetheart, kind of a bit of a misandrist, but, you know, there was nothing that impacted my job. Then there were these other two women who were clerks or whatever the case is, who called me in, and they were supposedly happy with me as an employee, but because I didn't deliver pizzas as fast as they liked, which was like maybe a few minutes faster, they ended up trying to make my job a little bit difficult, and it messed with my money. You know, if we were closing up at 11 o'clock and they didn't want me having the last delivery, and that was kind of corny. You know, sometimes I didn't know the area that well, but I was trying to improve. You know, I would try to do anything I could to improve, including ask other drivers, you know, how I can improve better so that I could deliver pizzas faster. And I began doing that. I began improving. I knew that because the only person I really cared about in terms of delivery was the head clerk, that was the person that called me in, and the other guys in the back. You know, the boss. That's the only people I cared about who I cared what they thought about me as an employee mattered. You know, they're the only people that I thought their thoughts only mattered to me as an employee. You know, and they were the only people I wanted to make sure that they were cool with, you know, how things are going, because I wanted to know ahead of time that I was getting fired or that they were unhappy with me. You know, that way either I step it up or I just cut my losses. But these two clerks or whatever, the ones that were making my job difficult, decided that, you know, they would do things like send me home. You know, they would send me home, and they would send me home on days that made the most money. And after working there for about a month and a half, I had learned that the best days to work there were Fridays and Saturdays. Those are the days that people get paid. Those are the days that people feel most generous with their paper. And those are the days where your opportunities of getting tips goes up. And realistically, that's with almost any food delivery place. You know, your chances of getting tips increase depending on, you know, if people got paid or certain types of events, especially during, you know, football season. Because when I worked, this was during the winter. So I don't think basketball was making or baseball was making a comeback. They both had passed already. And I think basketball is usually during the summer and maybe early fall. As probably with right now, the basketball season is during the fall, and they're supposedly wrapping up the finals. Football is also taking place right now as well, but this is only because of the pandemic. But at the time when I was working, it was a football season. You know, the Eagles were doing really well, supposedly, and you know, the better they did, the more opportunities came up to get raises or whatever. Without breaking down all of the money or whatever the case is, to me, Friday and Saturday were big days. So you could do probably $100 to maybe $300 on those days, depending on what time of the day you were there. If you were there all day, you could stand to make $300 on both days, which is more than some people make per week or whatever at minimum wage. At a job that paid you probably like less than minimum wage. So you making $300 Friday and Saturday. That's $600 for the whole week, or $1,200 every 2 weeks or whatever. I mean, my bad. Yeah, that's about right. About $1,200 every 2 weeks. Plus, you know, there were other days that if you worked, you know, other days, you know, it mattered. You could make more money. So if I'm working all day on a Monday and a Tuesday, and or a Wednesday, and I'm bringing in about, you know, let's say $60 to $80, you know, I think I'm probably doing pretty well, especially if I continue to fill up the tank every day after I'm done. I'm probably spending about $20, maybe $30. I don't think any more than that if I'm filling up the tank, because we were only driving within the 1 to 2 mile radius, probably 2.5 or 3 at the most, but never that far. Never extremely far. It was always within the area. So that's how I know I was never really late with deliveries. Times that things got cold because we had to deal with a lot of snow. But none of that really matters. What matters is that I was trying to improve as a delivery person, and they were trying to block me. And anytime I try to go behind the register to try to see what address we were going to, because I knew what my next order was going to be. They would always tell me that I was up next. So I would try to check out the receipt. I would try to put the delivery directions in my GPS or, you know, Google Maps or whatever I was using to do deliveries. But they would not let me do things that would improve me as a driver, despite the fact that I was supposedly, you know, doing good enough that they were happy with me. I knew they were happy with me because they were giving me more days to work. They weren't even just giving me like more days to work, but I was getting more hours. You know, more hours. You know, I was there maybe 10 or 11 hours a day sometimes, and I was pulling in, you know, I feel like a decent amount of money. I managed to make a lot of money within a short amount of time. And that was great for me. You know, it was enough for me to save up. It was enough for me to save up in between, you know, days and weeks or whatever, how much money I could make. Especially if I had this as a side gig, it would be dope. You know, I'm working on a Friday or a Saturday nights or whatever the case is, and I'm pulling in almost $100 on those days. You know, that's enough to fill up my tank and to pocket the rest of it. And if I work other days, it's still dope as well. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that I was trying to improve as an employee. I didn't know the area that well. I knew it decent enough, but there were some addresses that I didn't know that well that were difficult, especially during the projects. The projects had difficult addresses, and the projects were a pain in the ass to deliver to because people in the projects don't typically tip. I'm not gonna say black people, I'm gonna just say people in the projects, because I've run across all types of races, and some of them tip well and some of them didn't tip well. You know, I've actually ran across somebody that wanted, you know, exact change when it came to his delivery. And, you know, to me, that was a prickish thing to do. Anyway, so these girls who were clerks, you know, running the register would send me home on days that were probably the best days to work on. And that messed with my money. And when you mess with my money, you mess with my livelihood. So I could have did something drastic to them, and you know, I probably wouldn't even be here to tell y'all the story. However, I took a different route. I began documenting everything that was going on that, you know, the boss might not have known about, and then I wrote up a letter, and I sent it to him. So he read the letter right there. It was in like his best. I had used Grammarly or whatever. I tried to. The language was the grammar, I think, was as best as it could. It was better than maybe some of you guys have seen on my page, but I did the grammar as best I could, punctuation, so he could understand it, because he was an Italian guy, you know, and he was like, you know, in a deep Italian guy, like he didn't, like English wasn't his, you know, first language or whatever. So I typed up a letter, I sent it to him, and then all the crap that they were doing to me had stopped. If I went home early, it was because it was slow, which is how it's supposed to go. You know, there's no reason for them to, you know, keep the shop open if we're dealing with too much snow and it's like too much, you know, we're not getting a lot of orders. But if we're getting a lot of orders, then it's cool. And it's wrong that they're sending me home. So that's what happened. Yeah, the girls wasn't happy that I did that. We weren't never friends. You know, I don't really go to these jobs to make friends, and that's another thing y'all gotta do, is stop making friends with these broads, because it gives them permission to be evasive and, you know, be buddy-buddy with you, or think they're buddy-buddy with you, or you think you're buddy-buddy with them, and it sets you up for all types of other issues that you don't need. For instance, like sexual harassment. Them broads could never say I was sexual harassment, because I was never that friendly with them. And I'm never that friendly anywhere else I go with females, because like I said, that could set you up for failure. That could set you up to ruin your opportunities. So they would do all, what they would do is like they would talk trash behind my back, or they would do like what females normally do, which is like, what's the word I want to use? Be passive aggressive, throw their voices, whatever case. I'll be sitting there, you know, with my back turned and I'm on my phone, checking out the next delivery, and they would be talking trash behind my back or whatever, or trying to throw their voices. What they didn't know is I was still documenting that stuff. Were it not for the fact that my car had died not too long afterwards, you know, I probably would have still been working there, and I would have been planning my exit strategy, because, you know, it was starting to feel like I would have had to, you know, resort to drastic measures. But at least while I was there, all of the crap they were doing stopped, and I was getting, you know, I was working during the days I was supposed to work, and working those times that I was supposed to work. And a bonus, months after I stopped working there, I found out, hold on, let me get some water real quick. Months after I stopped working there, I found out one of the girls that was working there had did something really whack, and she ended up getting fired, which is a bonus on top of me documenting her. So she was already on thin ice when she did something that they didn't like, and she ended up getting fired, and that's a plus for me. Anyway, this is all the time that I have for this video. If you'd like to check out some more of my content, you know, check out the videos that's coming up in the links below. There should be some like algorithms or elements below, the left and right side or whatever. Should be 2 videos down there, and you guys can catch me at the next video. Peace.